David Ferrer Ern is a Spanish professional tennis player. Ferrer turned professional in 2000 and was in the first years of his career known as a clay court specialist, having won half of his titles on the surface. However, he has had significant success on all surfaces, having reached the final of the French Open in 2013, the semi-finals of the Australian and US Opens twice each, and the quarter-finals of Wimbledon twice. He was part of the Spain Davis Cup team that won the finals in 2008, 2009, and 2011. He won the Paris Masters in 2012, and he was runner-up at the Tennis Masters Cup in 2007. He first achieved a top 10 ranking in 2006 and reached a career-high ranking of world number 3 in July 2013. Career: early years, Ferrer was born in Zarbia in the province of Alicante, but he moved to Gandia at age 13, followed 2 years later by a move to Barcelona to attend the Catalan Tennis Federation. He spent 9 months at Aquilat, Juan Carlos Ferrero's academy in Villena, before moving back to Zarbia while practicing in Denia. During his time in the academy, the Spanish Federation chose to sponsor Tommy Robredo rather than him, forcing Ferrer on his own prior to turning professional. Once, as a teenager, when Ferrer did not practice hard enough, his coach, Javier Piles, locked him in a completely dark 2m×2m ball closet for several hours, giving him only a piece of bread and a bit of water. After this incident he was fed up with tennis and went to work at a construction site, but after a week he returned to Piles and asked if he could remain at the club and play tennis. Piles continued to coach Ferrer until they parted ways at the end of 2013. Ferrer has said he considers Piles to be like a second father to him. Ferrer turned professional in 2000, finishing as world number 419, winning in Poland F1 and Spain F3, finishing runner-up in Spain F1. 2001 was not a particularly good year for him. He won his first career challenger title in Sopot and reached the semi-finals at Minerbio. He also reached the semi-finals in Spain F15 and Spain F16. 2002 to 2005, first ATP title and reaching top 15. In 2002, he played consistently in ATP and challenger tournaments, winning his first ATP title in Bucharest and reaching his first ATP final and just his second ATP event in UMAC. He won challenger titles in Naples, Valencia, and Sassuolo. All 10 ATP match wins and 34 of 35 challenger wins came on clay. The highlight of 2003 was Ferrer's victory against Andre Agassi at the Rome Masters. He made his debut at all 4 Grand Slam tournaments, as well as 6 ATP Masters Series events. In Rome, he upset the defending champion Agassi in the first round and lost to Ivan Dubuis in the second round. Ferrer advanced to the second round at the French Open and Wimbledon. He reached his third career final in Sopot and lost to Guillermo Coria. In doubles, he reached his first career final in Acapulco with Fernando Vicente. He compiled a 13:16 record on clay courts, 6:10 on hard, 1:1 on grass, and had a year-ending ranking of world number 71. In 2004, Ferrer reached the quarterfinals in Buenos Aires, Valencia, and at the ATP Masters Series Hamburg. He advanced to the semi-finals in Stuttgart. Late in the year, he advanced to the quarter-finals in Bucharest and the semi-finals in Palermo and Lyon. He ended the year with a ranking of world number 49. In 2005, Ferrer advanced to the semi-finals in Miami by defeating David Nalbandian, Juan Carlos Ferrero, and Dominique Hrbatá 1/2, but lost to Rafael Nadal. In his hometown, he lost to Hrbatá 1/2. He closed the year with a quarter-final showing in Madrid, where he defeated Puerta, but lost to Robbie Ginpré, and Paris, where he lost to Andy Roddick. He lost only once in the first round of 9 Masters Series events, while compiling a 20:9 record. In doubles, Ferrer won his first 2 ATP titles in Via ± Del Mar and Acapulco and earned a career-high $951,772. He finished the year with a ranking of world number 14. 2006, second ATP title, Ferrer opened the year with a quarter-final showing in Auckland, where he lost to Olivier Rochus. He broke into the top 10 ATP rankings for the first time, following a personal best fourth-round showing at the Australian Open, where he defeated Mario Arnaia, but lost to Fabrice Santoro. He was in the top 10 for 5 weeks during the year. Then, playing in the first round of a Davis Cup tie versus Belarus, he went to a Euro 3 indoors, losing to Vladimir Volchkov in the second rubber. In March, he reached the semifinals in Miami for a second straight year, where he defeated number 4 Andy Roddick, but lost to Roger Federer. In his second clay court tournament of the year in Monte Carlo, he lost to Federer. He also advanced to the quarterfinals at the Masters Series Hamburg, falling to eventual champion Tommy Robredo. In daːvit Quarterfinals, he posted wins over two top 10 players, world number 4 Ivan Ljubiya and world number 9 Fernando Gonzalez. He reached the third round at the French Open and a career-best fourth round at Wimbledon, where he defeated Gonzalez in the third round, but lost to Leighton Hewitt. In July, he won a second career ATP title in a 5-hour final in Stuttgart. He came back from 2-1 and won a Euro 5 deficit against Ekazuzo, saving one match point down for a Euro 5 in the fourth set. In August, he reached a quarterfinals in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he defeated number 10 Marcos Baghdatis, but lost to Gonzalez, followed by a third-round showing at New Haven, where he lost to Augusta Nkairi. At the U.S. Open, he reached the third round for the second consecutive year, but lost to Mikhail Yuzny. Ferrer closed the year by reaching the quarterfinals in Basel, where he lost to Federer. For the year, he went 3 a Euro 5 versus top 10 opponents and compiled records of 18 a Euro 8 on clay and 17 a Euro 13 on hard court. He finished the year ranked world number 14 and in the top 15 for the second consecutive year. 2007, World Tour Finals runner-up and reaching top 5. Ferrer began the year by winning Auckland, defeating Tommy Robredo in the final. At the 2007 Australian Open, he defeated Christian Plus, Thomas Johansson, and Reid Kangstrom Tapernek, and lost in the fourth round to Mardy Fish in 5 sets. 1 month later, he reached a quarterfinals at Rotterdam. He had quarterfinal finishes at Indian Wells and Monte Carlo and reached the fourth round in Miami, the semifinals in Barcelona, and the quarterfinals in Hamburg. At the French Open, he was stopped by Fernando Verdasco in the third round. At Wimbledon, he was eliminated by Frenchman Paul-Henri Mathieu in the second round. In July, he captured his second title of the year and fourth of his career, beating Nicolas Almagro in the final of the Swedish Open in Bergenstad. He then advanced to the quarterfinals in Cincinnati, defeating Andy Roddick in the third round. At the U.S. Open, he was seeded 15th and knocked out 24th seeded David Nalbandian in the third round, and then upset second-seeded compatriot Rafael Nadal in the fourth round in 4 sets. He beat 20th-seeded Juan Ignacio Chela in the quarterfinals and reached his first Grand Slam semifinal, where he was defeated by third-seed Novak Djokovic. His performance at the U.S. Open brought his ranking up to world number 8. Then, Ferrer captured his third title of the year in Tokyo, defeating Richard Gasquet in the final. At the Paris Masters, he made it to the quarterfinals, where he lost to David Nalbandian. Ferrer qualified as the 6th seed for the year-ending Tennis Masters Cup. To begin, Ferrer upset third seed Djokovic in his first round-robin match, and then defeated second seed Rafael Nadal. He sealed his qualification for the knockout stage by defeating 8th seed Richard Gasquet. He was the only man to have a perfect record in the round-robin stage and had the best win-loss set record. Ferrer next defeated 5th seed Andy Roddick in the semi-finals. In the final, Ferrer lost to top seed Roger Federer. He ended the year with a career-high ranking of world number 5. 2008, Davis Cup title, Ferrer opened 2008 with a quarter-final loss to unseeded Julien Benneteau of France in Auckland, where Ferrer was seeded first. He reached a second week of the Australian Open, however, as the 5th seed, without dropping a set in the first 3 rounds. He then went on to defeat 22nd seed Juan Carlos Ferrero in 4 sets in the fourth round, before falling to third seed and eventual champion Novak Djokovic in the quarter-finals. On February 25, Ferrer became world number 4, despite losing in the second round in Rotterdam. On April 20, he captured his first ATP title of the year, and the sixth in his career, when he defeated Nicolas Almagro in the final of Valencia. He saved 3 match points against Fernando Verdasco in the quarter-finals, and in the final, won the definitive set when he went down 5-2 in the third set, with 2 breakpoints for Almagro. Ferrer arrived at the quarter-finals in the Monte Carlo Masters, losing against the eventual tournament champion Rafael Nadal, despite having 5 set points in the second set. In Barcelona the following week, Ferrer reached the final, after defeating Nicolas Lepenti, 6th seed Tommy Robredo, and 14th seed Stanislas Wawrinka. He again lost to Nadal in the final. Ferrer made it to the quarter-finals of the French Open, matching his previous best appearance in 2005. In his first 2 rounds, he defeated Steve Darcy and Fabrice Santoro. He then prevailed in 2 5-set matches over Leighton Hewitt and Radke Tapernek in the third and fourth rounds, respectively. He eventually fell to local favorite Gaël Monfils in 4 sets. Ferrer then began his grass court season with another title at Hertogenbosch in the Netherlands. He defeated Croatian Mario Arnaia and Argentine Juan Martín del Potro en route to the final, where he won in straight sets over Frenchman Marc Yackel. This was his 7th career title and the first on grass. With this win, he became the second Spaniard to win a grass court tournament after a 36-year drought. At Wimbledon, Ferrer was seeded 5th. In the first round, he defeated Sergei Stakhovsky, who forfeited the match while down in sets 2-0 and up 3-1 in the third set. In the second round, Ferrer defeated Russian Igor Andreev in 4 sets. He was then eliminated by Arnaia in the third round in 4 sets. Representing Spain at the 2008 Summer Olympics, Ferrer was eliminated by Janko Tipsarevic in the first round. At the US Open, Ferrer reached the third round as the 4th seed, where he lost Kari Nishikori, ranked 126, in one of the biggest upsets of the tournament. Ferrer saved 5 match points before losing the match. Seeded first at the China Open in Beijing, Ferrer was defeated by Israeli Dudai Sailan in the second round 3-6, 3-6. Following a first-round bye, 6th-seeded Ferrer lost in the second round of the Madrid Masters to fellow Spaniard Feliciano Lacubde-Pez 4-6, 6-7. 2009, second Davis Cup title, Ferrer began his season at the Heineken Open losing to Sam Querrey in the semi-finals 6-3, 3-6, 6-7, 4-7. At the Australian Open, he was upset by Marin Araia 6-7, 5-7, 3-6, 4-6 in the third round. He then bounced back with a semi-final showing at the SA Tennis Open, falling to Ra Machardi after dominating the first set, lost in a tightly contested second and third set 6-1, 6-7, 9-11, 6-7, 4-7. He reached his first final of the year at the Dubai Tennis Championships, losing to Novak Djokovic 7-5, 6-3. However, he bounced back, defeating Novak Djokovic in a Davis Cup tie between Spain and Serbia. At the Masters event of BNP Paribas Open and Sony Ericsson Open, he was able to reach the 4th round, losing to Andy Roddick and Juan Martín del Potro, respectively. In the clay season, Ferrer played his first event at the Monte Carlo Rolex Masters. After cruising through the first 2 rounds, he was routed by Fernando Verdasco 2-6, 1-6. He then rebounded by reaching the final of Barcelona Open Banco Sabadell, losing to Rafael Nadal 2-6, 5-7. However, the Spaniard suffered early losses at the Internacional y Bienal d'Italia, Estoril Open, and Mutua Madrileña +/- a Madrid Open. At the French Open he fell to surprise finalist Robin Zar-Paragraph-Delling in the third round 7-6, 7-5, 5-7, 2-6, 6-7, 5-7. He played his Wimbledon warm-up at the Ordina Open and was upset by compatriot Ivan Navarro in the quarter-finals 4-6, 2-6. At Wimbledon, Ferrer suffered another third-round loss in a slam, this time falling to Czech Radkangström Tapernek in 5 sets 5-7, 5-7, 6-3, 6-4, 4-6. Ferrer then came back to play at the International German Open, where he was able to reach his 5th semi-final of the year, but lost to Russian Nikolay Davydenko 5-7, 6-7, 2-7. However, the Spaniard had an abysmal U.S. Open series, losing in the third round of 2009 Western and Southern Financial Group Masters and in second rounds of the Rogers Cup U.S. Open. He then suffered back-to-back first-round losses at the Proton Malaysian Open and China Open, losing to Mikhail Yuzny and Fernando Gonzalez. He also fell to eventual semi-finalist Feliciano Lacube-Pez in the second round of the Shanghai ATP Masters 1000. He was the defending champion at the Valencia Open 500 but withdrew prior to his second-round match against compatriot Albert Monti ± a copyright S due to a hamstring injury. He then helped Spain capture the Davis Cup title, when he defeated Radkangström Tapernek 1-6, 2-6, 6-4, 6-4, 8- June 2010. First Masters final, Ferrer lost in the second round of the 2010 Australian Opening to Marcos Baghdatis, after winning the first 2 sets, in a match lasting just over 4 hours. Ferrer's next tournament was the SA Tennis Open. In the first round, he defeated Karel Beck. In the second round, he beat Philip Pic, and then won his quarter-final against Somdev Devarman. However, in the semi-finals, he lost to star copyright Fane Robert. Ferrer's next tournament was the Copa Telmex, where he was the top seed. He beat Simon Grohl 6-2, 7-6, in the first round, and then defeated Federico Gil in the second round 6-3, 6-0. Ferrer then defeated Igor Andreev in the quarter-finals 7-5, 6-2, and then went on to defeat Albert Monti ± a copyright S 6-1, 6-1. However, in the final, he fell to Juan Carlos Ferrero 7-5, 4-6, 3-6. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 Abierto Mexicano Telcel, where he was the third seed. In the first round, he defeated Potito Staris 6-2, 6-4, and defeated Tomas Belucki in the second round 6-4, 6-1. He then defeated Pablo Cuevas 7-5, 6-4. In the semi-finals, he defeated Fernando Gonzalez 6-7, 6-0, 6-4. In the final, he avenged his previous defeat by Juan Carlos Ferrero, beating him 6-3, 3-6, 6-1, for his 8th career title. This was Ferrero's 3rd straight final and also ended Ferrero's 14-match winning streak. His ranking also rose to number 16. In the first round of the 2010 Davis Cup, Ferrer defeated Marco Chiodinelli 6-2, 7-6, 6-1, and defeated Stanislas Wawrinka 6-2, 6-4, 6-0, to advance Spain to the quarter-finals of the 2010 Davis Cup, where they faced France. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 BNP Paribas Open. He was the 13th seeded player, which gave him a bye into the second round. In the second round, he was defeated by James Blake 1-6, 4-6. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 Sony Ericsson Open, where he was seeded 15th. In his second round match, he defeated Michael Elodra 6-2, 6-4, and then defeated Ivo Karlovias 7-6, 6-3. However, in the fourth round, he was defeated by Rafael Nadal 6-7, 4-6. Ferrer's next part of the season saw him enter the European clay court swing. His first tournament was the 2010 Monte Carlo Rolex Masters, where he was seeded 11th. In the first round, he defeated qualifier Peter Luchuk 6-2, 6-4, and defeated Andrei Golubev 6-3, 6-2, in the second round. He then defeated Ivan Ljubia 6-0, 7-6. In the quarterfinals, he defeated Philippe Kohlschreiber 7-5, 7-6, to advance to the semifinals, where he was again defeated by Nadal 2-6, 3-6. Next, Ferrer participated in the 2010 Torneo Godó, where he was seeded 8th. He had a first-round bye, and defeated Marcel Granollers in the second round 7-5, 6-4. In the third round, he crushed Simone Bolelli 6-0, 3-0, before Bolelli retired with a wrist injury, and then defeated Thomas Bellucci in the quarterfinals 6-4, 6-0. In the semi-finals, he played Fernando Verdasco. Ferrer was leading Verdasco 7-6, 4-2, before ultimately losing 7-6, 5-7, 1-6. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 Rome Masters, where he was seeded 13th. In the first round, Ferrer defeated Evgeny Korolov 6-4, 6-1, and in the second round, he defeated Potito Stara 7-5, 6-2. In the third round, he defeated world number 5 Andy Murray 6-3, 6-4, and then in the quarterfinals, he defeated world number 10 Jo-Wilfried Tsonga 6-4, 6-1. He faced world number 9 Fernando Verdasco for a spot in his first Masters 1000 event final, where he won 7-5, 6-3. Ferrer ultimately succumbed to Rafael Nadal in the final 5-7, 2-6. Due to his fantastic run in Rome, his ranking increased to world number 12. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 Mutua Madrileña ± Madrid Open, where he was seeded 9th. In the first round, he defeated Ra Copyright Machadi 6-3, 7-6, and defeated Marcos Baghdatis 1-6, 6-3, 7-5, after fending off a match point. He then defeated Marin Araya 6-3, 6-2, to advance to the quarterfinals. There, he, for the second successive time, beat world number 4 Andy Murray 7-5, 6-3. In the semi-finals, Ferrer lost to world number 1 Roger Federer in 3 sets. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 French Open, where he entered as a favorite. He began his campaign with a 6-1, 6-3, 6-1 victory over French wildcard David Guez, and then defeated Xavier Malisse 6-2, 6-2, 2-0 ret. In the third round, he fell to surprise semi-finalist Jan Quarter Gen Meltzer 4-6, 0-6, 6-7. Ferrer's next tournament was the Wimbledon, where he was the 9th seed. In the first round, he defeated Nicolas Kiefer 6-4, 6-2, 6-3, and then defeated Florent Serra in the second round 6-4, 7-5, 6-7, 6-3. In the third round, he defeated Ra Copyright Machadi 7-5, 6-3, 4-6, 3-6, 7-5, with Chardy serving for the match at 5-4 in the fifth. In the fourth round, he was defeated by Robin Czar Paragraph Delling 2-6, 7-5, 2-6, 6-3, 5-7, despite being 2 points away from the match on 2 occasions. Ferrer's next played for Spain in the 2010 Davis Cup. He lost his first rubber 6-7, 2-6, 6-4, 7-5, 4-6, to Gaël Monfils of France. Spain ultimately lost to France 0-5. Ferrer then travelled to Sweden to play in the 2010 Swedish Open, where he was seeded third. Due to his seed, he received a bye in the first round and defeated Fabio Fognini 6-3, 7-5, in the second round. He then defeated Pablo Cuevas 6-3, 6-3, in the quarter-finals to advance to the semi-finals. Ferrer also extended his ATP best wins on clay in 2010 to 31 wins. However, he lost to Robin Czar Delling 6-4, 3-6, 2-6, in the semi-finals. He was then supposed to play in the 2010 International German Open as the second seed, but had to withdraw due to a shoulder injury. Ferrer's next tournament was the 2010 Rogers Cup, where he was seeded number 10, but lost in the first round to David Nalbandian 5-7, 6-3, 3-6. Despite his loss, his ranking increased to world number 11. Ferrer then traveled to Cincinnati to play in the 2010 Western and Southern Financial Group Masters, where he was once again seeded number 10. In the first round, he defeated Alexander Dolgopolov 3-6, 6-3, 6-4, and then defeated Sam Querrey in the second round 7-5, 6-2. However, in the third round, he lost to Nikolay Davydenko 6-4, 3-6, 5-7, despite being up a break of serve twice in the third set. Ferrer's next event was the 2010 US Open, where he was seeded number 10. In the first round, he defeated Alexander Dolgopolov 6-2, 6-2, 6-3, and then defeated Benjamin Becker in the second round 6-3, 6-4, 6-4. He then defeated Daniel Gimeno Travers 7-6, 6-2, 6-2, for a spot in the round of 16. However, he lost to Fernando Verdasco 7-5, 7-6, 3-6, 3-6, 6-7, despite being up 4-2 in the fifth set, and 4-1 in the tiebreaker. Due to Ferrer's appearance in the round of 16, Ferrer was ensured to return to the top 10, to number 10 in the world. Ferrer then traveled to Malaysia to play in the 2010 Proton Malaysian Open, where he was seed number 5. In the first round, he defeated Bernard Tomic 6-3, 6-4, and then defeated Yuki Bambri 6-2, 6-2, for a spot in the quarterfinals. He then defeated world number 7 Tomaso Berdych in the quarterfinals 4-6, 7-5, 6-4. However, in the semi-finals, he was upset by Andrei Golubev 7-5, 7-6. Ferrer then traveled to Beijing to play in the 2010 China Open as the number 8 seed. In the first round, he defeated Denis Istomin 6-4, 6-1, and then defeated Yen-Sun Liu in the second round 6-3, 3-6, 6-1. In the quarterfinals, he defeated Robin Czar Delling 6-2, 6-4, for a spot in the semi-finals. In the semi-finals, he defeated Ivan Ljubia 6-4, 4-6, 6-4, for a spot in the finals. However, in the final, he lost to Novak Djokovic in a rain-delayed match, 2-6, 4-6. With this run to the final, Ferrer once again returned to the top 10, at world number 10, and this also put him in the 8th position for qualifying for the year-end championships. Ferrer then traveled to Shanghai to play in the 2010 Shanghai Rolex Masters, where he was seeded number 11. In the first round, he defeated Michael Elodra 7-6, 6-1, and then defeated Thomas Belucki 7-6, 6-3, in the second round. However, he was defeated by Robin Czar Delling 7-5, 6-4, in the third round. Due to his round of 16 showing, he moved to number 8 in the world. Also, he moved to number 7 in the race to the year-end championships. Ferrer then traveled to Valencia to play in the 2010 Valencia Open 500 as the hometown favorite. At the 2010 Valencia Open 500, he was seeded number 4 and defeated Guillermo Garca a la Cubed Pez 6-7, 6-3, 6-3, in the first round. He then defeated qualifier Teimuraz Gaubashvili 6-4, 6-1, for a spot in the quarterfinals. He then defeated Potito Stara 7-5, 6-4, to advance to the semi-finals. He then defeated Robin Czar Delling 6-3, 3-6, 6 3, for a spot in the finals. In the finals, he defeated Marcel Granollers 7 5, 6 3, for the title, his 9th career title. With this victory, he moved to number 7 in the race to the year-end championships and virtually secured his spot at the 2010 ATP World Tour Finals, and also improved his ranking to world number 7. Ferrer's final regular season tournament was the 2010 BNP Paribas Masters, where he was seeded number 7. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round and defeated Fabio Fognini 3 6, 6 4, 7 6. However, he lost to Ja1 Quarterfinal Meltzer 6 7, 6 2, 3 6, in the third round. Despite his loss, Ferrer still qualified for the Barclays ATP World Tour Finals due to the fact that Fernando Verdasco lost his third-round match, sealing Ferrer's 7th spot and his second appearance since 2007. Ferrer then travelled to London to play in the 2010 ATP World Tour Finals, where he was seeded number 7. He was placed in Group B with number 2 Roger Federer, number 4 Robin Delling, and number 5 Andy Murray. In his first match, he lost to Federer 6 1, 6 4, and in his second match he lost to Robin Delling 5 7, 5 7. Ferrer then lost to Andy Murray 2 6, 2 6, to finish the 2010 ATP World Tour Finals with an 0 3 record. Ferrer finished the year with a 60 24 record, and once again in the top 10, finishing at world number 7. 2011, third Davis Cup title and 2 Masters runner-ups, Ferrer began his 2011 ATP World Tour season at the 2011 Heineken Open, where he was the number 1 seed. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round and defeated Tobias Kampke 3 6, 7 6, 6 4. He then defeated Philippe Kohlschreiber 6 3, 6 7, 6 3, to advance to the semi-finals, and then defeated Santiago Giraldo 6 3, 7 5, for a berth in the finals, where he played David Nalbandian. In the finals, Ferrer defeated Nalbandian 6 3, 6 2, for his first title of the year and the 10th in his career. Ferrer then travelled to Melbourne to play in the 2011 Australian Open, where he was seeded number 7. In the first round, he defeated Jarko Niemann 6 4, 6 3, 1 6, 6 2, and next defeated Michael Russell 6 0, 6 1, 7 5, in the second round. He then defeated Rioardas Berankis 6 2, 6 2, 6 1, for a spot in the round of 16, where he then defeated Milos Raonic 4 6, 6 2, 6 3, 6 4, for a spot in his second Australian Open quarter-final. He beat an injured world number 1 Rafael Nadal for a spot in the semi-finals, winning in 3 sets 6 4, 6 2, 6 3. This notably ended Nadal's quest to win 4 straight majors. He lost to 5th seed Andy Murray 6 4, 6 7, 1 6, 6 7 in the semi-final. With his run to the semi-finals of the Australian Open, his ranking rose to world number 6. Ferrer then travelled to Rotterdam to play in the 2011 ABN AMRO World Tennis Tournament, where he was seeded number 3, but lost in the first round to Jarko Niemann 3 6, 4 6. Next, Ferrer travelled to Acapulco for the 2011 Abierto Mexicano Telcel, where he was the top seed and defending champion. In the first round, he defeated Adrian Nunga 6 1, 6 3, and then defeated Santiago Gonzalez 6 2, 6 2, in the second round. In the quarter-finals, he then defeated Juan Marcube Naco, 2 6, 7 5, 6 2, and then defeated Alexander Dolgopolov 5 7, 6 1, 6 1, in the semi-finals to advance to his second consecutive final at the Abierto Mexicano Telcel. He defeated compatriot Nicola S. Almagro 7 6, 6-7, 6-2, for his second consecutive title in Acapulco and his 11th career title overall. Ferrer then travelled to Indian Wells to play in the 2011 BNP Paribas Open, where he was seeded number 6. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second, where he lost to the big serving Ivo Karloff via 6-7, 3-6. Ferrer then travelled to Miami to play in the 2011 Sony Ericsson Open, where he was seeded number 6. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round, where he defeated qualifier Iga Kunitz in 6-2, 6-1, for a spot in the third round. In the third round, he defeated Sondeck Devarman 6-4, 6-2, and then defeated Marcel Granollers for a spot in the quarterfinals. However, in the quarterfinals, he fell to Mardy Fish 5-7, 2-6, and later said it was due to indigestion. Ferrer then travelled to Europe to begin the clay court season. His first tournament was the 2011 Monte Carlo Rolex Masters, where he was seeded number 4. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round, where he defeated fellow Spaniard Feliciano Lacubde-Pez 6-2, 6-0. In the third round, he defeated Milos Raonic 6-1, 6-3, and then defeated Viktor Troicki for a spot in his second consecutive Monte Carlo semi-final. He dominated Jar 1/4 Gen Meltzer in the semi-finals 6-3, 6-2, to advance to his second Masters 1000 final, where he ultimately fell to Rafael Nadal 4-6, 5-7. Ferrer then travelled back to Spain to play in the 2011 Barcelona Open Banco Sabadell, where he was seeded number 4. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round, where he beat Carlos Berlocq 6-2, 6-2, and Victor Florenescu 6-3, 6-2, in the third round to reach the quarter-finals. In the quarter-finals, he defeated Jar 1/4 Gen Meltzer 6-3, 6-3, and then defeated Nicola S. Almagro 6-3, 6-4, for a spot in his third Barcelona final. However, in the final, he lost to Rafael Nadal 2-6, 4-6, for the second week in a row. Ferrer then travelled to Madrid to play in the 2011 Mutua Madrileña ± a Madrid Open as the number 6 seed. Due to his seeding, he received a bye into the second round, where he defeated Adrian Manarino 7-5, 0-6, 6-0. He then went on to play Sergei Stakhovsky, whom he defeated in straight sets. In the quarter-finals, Ferrer faced Novak Djokovic, where he battled against the Serbian and lost 4-6, 6-4, 3-6. It was his first defeat in their 4 meetings on clay. Ferrer then pulled out of Rome, due to injury, but then travelled to Paris to play in the French Open. At the French Open, Ferrer was seeded number 7. He advanced with easy wins over Jarko Niemann, Julian Benito, and Sergei Stakhovsky, before ultimately falling to number 9 seed Gaël Monfils 4-6, 6-2, 5-7, 6-1, 6-8. Due to his round of 16 appearance, Ferrer moved up to number 6 in the world. Ferrer then took a month off, before travelling to London to play in the 2011 Wimbledon Championships, as the number 7 seed. In the first round, he defeated Pinauer-registered trademark T-Pair 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, and then defeated Ryan Harrison 6-7, 6-1, 4-6, 6-3, 6-2. He then defeated Carol Beck 6-4, 6-3, 6-3, to advance to the round of 16. However, he fell to eventual semi-finalist Jo-Wilfried Tsonga 6-3, 6-4, 7-6. After competing in 2 consecutive majors, Ferrer travelled to Sweden to play in the 2011 Swedish Open as the number 2 seed. He reached the semi-finals, where he defeated Nicola S. Almagro 6-1, 6-3, but lost to Robin Czar Paragraph Delling 2-6, 2-6. Ferrer was then set to begin his summer hardcourt series in Toronto. but pulled out with a hairline fracture of his left wrist. He healed in time to play in the 2011 Western and Southern Open as the number 5 seed. He won his second-round match against Grigor Dimitrov for a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 1, 7 a Euro 5, before falling to Gilles Simon for a Euro 6, 7 a Euro 6, 4 a Euro 6. Due to the result, Ferrer entered the top 5 in the ATP rankings again, becoming the world number 5. At the US Open, he lost in the fourth round to Andy Roddick in 4 sets, 3 a Euro 6, 4 a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 3, 3 a Euro 6. At the 2011 Shanghai Rolex Masters, Ferrer defeated Milos Raonic, former world number 1 Juan Carlos Ferrero, former world number 1 and 10th seed Andy Roddick and Feliciano Lacubde-Pez on his way to the final that he lost to second seed Andy Murray in straight sets. At the 2011 ATP World Tour Finals, Ferrer's first match was against world number 3 Andy Murray, and the Spaniard won it 6 a Euro 4, 7 a Euro 5. In his next match against world number 1 Novak Djokovic, Ferrer won 6 a Euro 3, 6 a Euro 1 in just 75 minutes, securing his spot in the semi-finals. In the last game of the round-robin, Ferrer lost to Tomaso Berdych in 3 sets, 6 a Euro 3, 5 a Euro 7, 1 a Euro 6. In the semi-final, David faced the defending champion and world number 3 Roger Federer and lost 5 a Euro 7, 3 a Euro 6. In the Davis Cup final in December, Ferrer won his match against Juan Martín del Potro 6 a Euro 2, 6 a Euro 7, 3 a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 4, 6 a Euro. March 2012. First Masters title. Ferrer started 2012 by participating in the Mubadala World Tennis Championship held in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. He defeated world number 6 Jo-Wilfried Tsonga and world number 2 Rafael Nadal to reach his first final in the exhibition tournament. In the final he lost to world number 1 Novak Djokovic, 2 a Euro 6, 1 a Euro 6. He won his first tournament of 2012 in Auckland, New Zealand at the Heineken Open ATP 250 over Olivier Rochus, 6 a Euro 3, 6 a Euro 4. At the 2012 Australian Open, Ferrer was seeded 5th and he defeated Rui Machado, Ryan Sweeting, 27th seed Juan Ignacio Chela, and 17th seed Richard Gasquet on his way to the quarterfinals. He then faced world number 1 Novak Djokovic and lost 4 a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 7, 1 a Euro 6. David was seeded first at the 2012 Copa Claro tournament and won it, defeating 2011 champion and second seed Nicolas Almagro, 4 a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 3, 6 a Euro 2. It was Ferrer's second title of the year and 13th of his career. His third singles title of the year and 14th overall came in Acapulco, Mexico. A week after his win in Argentina, he beat fellow Spaniard Fernando Verdasco in the final, losing only 3 games. At the 2012 Sony Ericsson Open, Ferrer beat Bernard Tomic, Julian Benito, and 2009 US Open champion Juan Martín del Potro in straight sets to reach the quarterfinals, where he faced world number 1 Novak Djokovic. Ferrer lost in straight sets, 1 a Euro 6, 6 a Euro 7. At the 2012 Monte Carlo Rolex Masters he was seeded 5th, but was upset in his second-round match by Brazilian Thomaz Bilucci. The following week, Ferrer reached the final at the 2012 Barcelona Open Banco Sabadell, after winning over Filip Krajinovic, Albert Monti ± a copyright S, Feliciano Lacubde-Pez, and Milos Raonic. He then lost the final to defending champion Rafael Nadal. At the 2010 Mutua Madrid Open, held for the first time on blue clay, David defeated Radkangstrom Tapanek and Nicolas Almagro on his way to the quarterfinals. He then faced world number 3 and eventual champion Roger Federer and lost to him, 4 a Euro 6, 4 a Euro 6. At the 2012 Internazionale BNL d'Italia, David was seeded 6th and defeated Fernando Verdasco, Gilles Simon, and Richard Gasquet on his way to the semi-finals. There he lost to eventual champion Rafael Nadal. At the 2012 French Open, Ferrer lost only 25 games, defeating Lucas Olaco, Pinau registered trademark T-pair, Mikhail Yuzny, and Marcel Granollers on his way to the quarterfinals. There he won over world number 4 Andy Murray and reached his first Roland Garros semi-finals. He then lost to defending champion Rafael Nadal, 6-2, 6-2, 6-1. Ferrer won his fourth singles title of the year and 15th overall in ʻERN, Netherlands. He beat Pierre-Ludovic Duclos, Leonardo Mayer, Iga Swiatek, Benoit registered trademark T-pair, and Philippe Tsner on his way to his second overall grass singles title. Ferrer then reached the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, defeating Dustin Brown, Kenny DeShepper, Andy Roddick, and Juan Martín del Potro. Ferrer made it to the last 8 for the first time at the 10th attempt. Ferrer then went on to lose the match to Andy Murray in a 4-set thriller. David Ferrer entered the quarterfinals of Swedish Open by defeating Simone Bolelli of Italy, 6-4, 6-3. He eventually advanced to the finals, where he defeated countryman Nicola S. Almagro, 6-2, 6-2, for his 5th title of the year. At the US Open, Ferrer made it to his 4th career Grand Slam semi-final, where he lost in 4 sets to Novak Djokovic. The semi-final had to be played over 2 days because of the threat of a tornado on the final Saturday. He had previously defeated Kevin Anderson, Iga Swiatek, Lleyton Hewitt, Richard Gasquet, and Janko Tipsarevic en route to the semis. Ferrer won his 6th title of the season in Valencia, defeating Alexander Dolgopolov in the final. Ferrer won his first Masters 1000 title in Paris at the end of the season, beating Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in the quarterfinals, Michael Elodra in the semi-finals, and Jerzy Janowicz in the final. This was also his 7th ATP Tour level title of the year, the most of any player that season. He also won more matches this year than any other player, male or female. 2013, first Grand Slam final and reaching top 3, Ferrer started his 2013 season by successfully defending his Heineken opening title defeating Philipp Kohlschreiber 7-6, 7-5, 6-1 and reached the semi-finals at the 2013 Australian Open for the second time in 3 years, losing to Novak Djokovic 2-6, 2-6, 1-6. Following the continued absence of Rafael Nadal from the ATP Tour, Ferrer became the Spanish number 1 for the first time in his career, re-entering the top 4 in the rankings on January 28, 2013. Ferrer then won his 2nd title of the year at the Copa Claro defeating Stanislas Wawrinka 6-4, 3-6, 6-1 but lost to Nadal in the 2013 Abierto Mexicano Telcel final in Acapulco, winning only 2 games. He then suffered an early loss at the 2013 BNP Paribas Open, falling to Kevin Anderson in the 2nd round after receiving a bye. He then reached the final of Miami Masters after outlasting Jawan Quarterfinal Meltzer 4-6, 6-3, 6-0 and Tommy Haas 4-6, 6-2, 6-3, which he lost to Andy Murray after holding a championship point in the deciding set. Ferrer moved back into the top 4 after the result. Ferrer withdrew from Monte Carlo and was upset by Dmitry Tisun 5-7, 6-3, 1-6 at the Barcelona Open Banco Sabadell. Ferrer reached his 5th final of the year at the Portugal Open facing Wawrinka, but this time falling in straight sets to the Swiss. He then lost to Nadal in back-to-back quarterfinals in the Masters event of Mutua Madrid Open and Internazionale BNL d'Italia. At the French Open, Ferrer reached his first Grand Slam final without dropping a set. He defeated 3 of his compatriots, Albert Monti ± a copyright S, Feliciano La Cubed Pez, and Tommy Robredo all in straight sets, to reach his 6th Grand Slam semi-final. He then defeated 6th seed Jo-Wilfried Tsonga to reach the final, where he was defeated by compatriot and defending champion Rafael Nadal. Despite failing to win the title, Ferrer regained the world number 4 spot from Nadal on the basis of earning more points than the previous year, while Nadal merely defended his. At the 2013 Top Shelf Open in ʻERN, Ferrer went out in the first round to veteran Belgian Xavier Malisse despite being the defending champion. His next tournament was Wimbledon, where he made it to the quarter-finals for the 2nd consecutive year before falling to Juan Martín del Potro in straight sets. Ferrer had disastrous US Open tune-ups at the 2013 Rogers Cup and 2013 Western and Southern Open, winning only a match, losing to Russians Alex Bogomolov, Jr. in the second round and Dmitry Tasson in the third round. He rebounded at the US Open. He lost for the first time to Richard Gasquet in the quarterfinals in 5 sets despite taking the third and fourth sets, in his first loss since 2008 to the Frenchman. He then reached another final, at the IF Stockholm Open facing Grigor Dimitrov, but lost in 3 sets to hand the Bulgarian his first title. Ferrer then followed it up with another final appearance at the Valencia Open 500, where he was the defending champion. However, he fell to Russian Mikhail Yuzny in straight sets. He reached his third final in as many weeks at the BNP Paribas Masters, where he was the defending champion after defeating world number 1 Rafael Nadal, ending his 9-match losing streak to the Spaniard. However, he lost to Novak Djokovic in straight sets, despite serving for each set in the 10th game. This was Ferrer's 7th consecutive loss in a final. A big change in December was his parting with coach Javier Piles, who had been his coach from the beginning of his career. He didn't win a game at the year-end championships for a disappointing end to the year. However, he had his best year-end finish in the rankings at number 3. 2014, Ferrer began his 2014 season losing to Daniel Brands in the second round of the Qatar Open. He reached the semi-finals of the Heineken Open, where he was defeated by Liu Yensun. Ferrer reached the quarterfinals of the 2014 Australian Open, where he lost to Thomas Berdych in 4 sets. In February, Ferrer successfully defended his title at the 2014 Copa Claro, which was his first title of the year. In 2014 Rio Open semi-finals, Ferrer was defeated by Alexander Dolgopolov in straight sets. At the 2014 Abierto Mexicano del Sol quarterfinals, Ferrer retired against Kevin Anderson due to leg injury. Ferrer made his return in the 2014 Sony Open tennis, reaching 4th round before losing to Kei Nishikori after squandering 4 match points. He made the semi-finals of the 2014 Monte Carlo Rolex Masters. In the quarter-finals, he beat Rafael Nadal for the first time in 10 years on clay, before losing to Stanislas Wawrinka in the semi-finals. He made the semi-finals again at the 2014 Mutua Madrid Open, where he lost to Kei Nishikori. He was defeated by Novak Djokovic in the quarter-finals at the 2014 Internazionale Biennale d'Italia. Ferrer made to the 2014 French Open quarter-finals. He lost to world number 1 and compatriot, Rafael Nadal, in 4 sets. Ferrer was defeated by world number 118 Andrei Gstsev in the second round of the 2014 Wimbledon Championships, ending his 10 Grand Slam quarter-final streak. He made to the quarter-finals in the 2014 Swedish Open before losing Carlos Berlocq in straight sets. He made to the final of the 2014 International German Open. In the final, he was defeated by Leonardo Mayer. Playing style and reputation. Ferrer is noted for being one of the more dogged, agile, and fit players on the tour, and he has won many matches with consistent baseline play, great fitness, foot speed, and determination. Although he does not possess powerful ground strokes like many of his contemporaries, his ability to keep the ball deep in play and move his opponents around the court has allowed him to be successful on all surfaces, especially on clay and hard courts. Ferrer's ground strokes are both equally solid and consistent. Although he is not a great net player, Ferrer's foot speed allows him to quickly cut off his opponent's shots in volley whilst they're off balance. Darren Cahill has said that Ferrer and Novak Djokovic are the 2 best returners in the men's game, even surpassing former dominant return specialists like Andre Agassi, who Cahill previously regarded as the best return specialist in the history of men's tennis. In 2007, Roger Federer regarded Ferrer as the best returner in the men's game. Perhaps because tennis reporting is often done by journalists who are not tennis devotees, there are many references to David Federer on the internet. A player who does not exist, personal life, David Ferrer supports Valencia CF. Career statistics. Grand Slam tournament performance timeline, key, 1 tournament. Or reached final. Semi-final. Quarter-final. Round 4, 3, 2, 1. Competed at a round-robin stage. Lost in qualification round. Absent from tournament event. Played in a Davis Cup zonal group or playoff. Won a bronze, silver or gold medal at the Olympics. A downgraded Masters Series/1000 tournament. Or a tournament that was not held in a given year. To avoid confusion and double counting, these charts are updated either at the conclusion of a tournament, or when the player's participation in the tournament has ended. Significant finals: Grand Slam, singles, 1, year-end championships, singles, 1, ATP Masters 1000, singles, 6, references. External links, official site, David Ferrer at the Association of Tennis Professionals, David Ferrer at the International Tennis Federation, David Ferrer at the Davis Cup.